Are you interested in Ayurveda and you want to learn the basics of Ayurveda and you want to plan your ideal lifestyle based on your body type? Stay tuned because in this video I'm going to be going over everything in my Ayurveda lifestyle workbook. Hello and welcome to this video on Ayurveda. So I've never made an in-depth video on Ayurveda and I wanted to make one. And since everything that I know about Ayurveda is in my workbook, I thought that I would just kind of give a little walkthrough of my workbook so that you can see what's in it and decide if it's something that you would think that would help you. So I've been taking a lot of Ayurveda courses over the last 4 or 5 years now and reading a lot of books and watching a lot of videos and just absorbing all the information I can about it. And the reason why I talk about Ayurveda so much is because it fits in line perfectly with holistic health because it is really all about the body, mind, and the soul. Because in Ayurveda, they focus on everything being connected. And so this is the only system of health that I've discovered that is specifically for this purpose, for aligning your health with nature, for aligning your body, mind, and your soul together. So I really like to talk about this system of health more than just regular nutrition. I've kind of gone away from the nutrition thing lately because there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and there's a lot of things that are not right for everybody. So that's one of the reasons why I love Ayurveda, because they say in Ayurveda that everything is good for someone, but not every. Oh, I'm screwing it up. There's, it's a phrase, and I'm gonna say it wrong. Everything is good for somebody, but not everything is good for everybody. I think that's how it goes. So basically, what that means is everyone is so unique that you almost need to try different things and find out what works for you. And that's why Ayurveda is so amazing because, as you'll see, it's a very it's adaptable to you as a person, as an individual. It takes your individuality into account, and it doesn't just say everybody should do this because there's 3 body types, which I will go into in depth. So I'll maybe help you figure out which body type you are if you don't already know. So, what I'm going to start with is I'm just going to go through these slides of the pages of this workbook. So, here's a page of the basics of Ayurveda. So, it's the oldest health system in the world, and it goes back a few thousand years, and that's why I trust it because it has stood the test of time. If these things didn't work, they wouldn't keep, being passed down to future generations. The central theme of Ayurveda is aligning your whole self, body, mind, and soul with nature, which I already said. The word Ayurveda means life knowledge or life science. And I just love that because that makes it more than just a medical thing, more than just a health thing. It's more of a life thing. It's more comprehensive, which, as you know, if you're any fan of my page or whatever, that it's all about holistic health. It's all about the body, mind, and the soul together. Ayurveda states that if you keep the body, mind, and soul in a state of balance, disease cannot occur. Ayurveda recognizes 3 body types, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are called doshas, another name for constitution. So there are other names for this in mainstream medicine. They call them the body types ectomorph, endomorph, and there's a third one that I can't remember. And I don't even know how they correlate with these 3 because I've been studying these 3 for so long now that this is just what I tell people. And this started first, so this is what I like to go back to. I always like to go back to the oldest, most basic fundamentals of health. Your personal constitution will determine the best ways to live your life to achieve optimal health. And that's what I said earlier about being an individual. So, depending on your body type, there are certain ways to live your life. The goal of living an Ayurvedic lifestyle is to prevent disease before it starts, rather than treating it once it manifests in the body. So, that's also in line with natural health and not always running to the doctor when you have um, built up so many symptoms that now it has become a disease. So it's kind of a preventative thing. It's really a preventative thing, actually. Ayurveda states that all disease starts in the mind and only manifests in the body once it has reached a critical point. And this is why most people don't start getting diseases until they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, because that's, around the time when everything is starting to take over and the balance is tipped. It's really about balance. Living in sync with nature's rhythms are a major part of Ayurveda, both daily and seasonally. And this is another thing I love about Ayurveda because I'm so into the whole thing about nature and the rhythm of nature and living in sync with nature. And there are multiple different facets of rhythms in nature. There's daily, there's even monthly, which I didn't list here, but in this workbook, I don't go into the monthly cycles of the moon, but I do have another workbook on that, and I do have some articles about that on my blog. So, Ayurveda focuses on daily and seasonal rhythms to live your life in alignment with. Ayurveda and yoga are sister sciences, meaning that they work synergistically together to achieve the same goal, optimal mind-body health. So if you're into Ayurveda, if you're into either one of these, Ayurveda or yoga, you've probably heard of the other. Actually, they're both becoming a lot more popular nowadays anyway, so that's a great thing in my opinion. So the first page of the workbook, well, after that, this is where you're actually going to start learning the aspects. So determining your dosha is always the first step that you want to do. So the three doshas in further detail here are really the elements of nature. And so they express themselves in different amounts in everybody. So Vata is composed of ether and air, Pitta is composed of fire and water, and Kapha is composed of earth and water. So you'll notice that all five elements are here, and everybody has, everybody actually does have a little bit of every element in them. I mean, you have to be human because we're all part of nature. The thing is with the doshas is that um, you're going to have different amounts of these, and most people have more than, one of them is the one that you notice the most. So for example, Vata people usually they have more air quality, so they're usually colder. They usually have dry skin, and they're usually they kind of have a lot of stomach issues and digestion issues because they have a lot of movement, erratic movement because they're kind of carried along by the air, and they don't settle very well. They always want to be moving, and always that might not be a good thing because in order to make your health issues minimized, you need to pacify what is called pacifying the dosha imbalances. So, if you are vata by nature and you have these problems, your vata dosha could be out of balance, which means that it's in overdrive and there's too much. If you are a typical vata, you do not like cold air, you do not like having a lack of routine in your life. Um, you want those things because that's your nature, but at the same time, it's kind of weird to explain because it's what you are is what you also have to keep under control because that can easily get unbalanced. So if you are a Vata dosha, you might notice that, you have these big urges to travel a lot and move around quickly, but you also notice that when you do, you become burnt out and your digestion might suffer and things like that. So I'll move on to the Pitta now. If you're a Pitta person, you're probably always hot. You probably have anger issues. And so the way to pacify that dosha is to cool yourself down and to be more calm. And so you're going to be naturally inclined to be angry and to be passionate and to, you know, it's the fire element. So if you have an overbalance of the Pitta dosha, then you can get burnt out quickly, and in that dosha, it would manifest as rashes, skin issues, ulcers, stomach issues like that. That's what Pitta people usually experience if their Pitta is out of balance. And then Kapha is the last one, and that one is made up of earth and water, and that's a very muddy, very moist. If you want to think of the um, qualities of that, it's like think of the water, when the water hits the earth after, a storm, and then it's muddy and wet and damp and stable. So Kapha people they have they usually have problems with weight gain because their bodies are so earth oriented that they are very large boned. They have, wide frame, and they're very slow people. But on the flip side, they are very loving people and very sweet people, and they don't usually have problems with anxiety because they're usually very calm and stable like the earth. So when kapha gets out of balance, you might become stagnant. You might become too set in your ways. And so that's something that they have to look out for. So this workbook goes more in depth on those three doshas. I just wanted to give a quick example of each one of those. So here's another definition of vata and pitta and kapha. And then there's quizzes here that can help you determine which one you are. So before I go further, there are two things to learn about the doshas. There's the Prakruti, which is the dosha or constitution that you were born with. This is something that usually involves your physical characteristics that don't change. So your body shape, and your facial features, things like that. And then there's the Vikruti, which is the state of your health currently. This is usually what the imbalance is. If you have an imbalance, it is going to be that. So you very much can be a different dosha right now than when you were born because imbalances happen and life happens and things, like I said, they just get out of balance. And then when you have an out of balance of one of the doshas, then you will start to see those different symptoms come in. And then that's really the whole basis of Ayurveda is aligning yourself with nature in such a way that your natural balance comes back. And so you're not out of balance. So here are the quizzes for the body, the mind, and the personality, and then you have your results. And then there's signs of imbalance and ways to balance each dosha. There's 3 pages for that. And then in Ayurveda, a daily routine is very important. And if you are a Vata dosha, this is especially true. And like I said earlier, because Vatas are always erratic and they always want to keep moving, they have a hard time settling down. And that is why to keep them in balance, they need a daily routine more than anybody does. So I've got the ideal morning and nighttime routine here for Ayurveda. And then there's diet guidelines for each. So everybody has to eat differently depending on your body type. So here's some general guidelines. Of course, this isn't comprehensive because this is just a workbook. This is not a course. I did try to take all of the information that I learned in all of the courses that I've taken and condense them into just the very important parts, just the basics, just the fundamental parts. So that is what this workbook is for. And then there's also exercise guidelines. So just like diet, there are different ways that these 3 doshas can improve their health. So it's a very multifaceted system here. So Ojas and Ama are 2 other things to learn about. Ojas is the essence of health, and Ama is the toxins that build up. So there's just a quick introduction to those, ways that you can build ojas, things that deplete ojas, and signs of low ojas. And then for ama, there's the signs of ama and ways to eliminate ama. And then agni is another thing to learn about in Ayurveda, is the word for how strong your digestion is. So it's another word for fire. Um, when you have a strong digestive fire, you will digest your food better. And in Ayurveda, it's very common to say you are what you digest, not just you are what you eat, because you can eat things and your body will not assimilate it. And so you need to get your body into a state where you have strong agni, and these are some ways that you can make your agni strong. And that also comes along with having Ojas. So if you have a surplus of Ojas, which is life force, healthy life force in your body, then you will probably have a strong Agni as well. In Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent, and you most likely have heard of all these. They each have different effects, and there are different foods that will affect you in those ways. So, depending on your body type, you're going to want to eat different types of tastes. Some body types should avoid certain ones, and some should um, eat more of certain ones. And the other thing to remember is really, when it comes down to it, all of the tastes are important. We do need all of them. In Ayurveda, they like to say that if you have a meal with all 6 tastes in that meal, that's even better. Um, you just want to focus on the ones that are going to help your specific imbalance at the time. And then there's eating the Ayurvedic way, which is because there's a lot of different rules when it comes to eating, and these are ways to help your digestion even more. So then in this planner, there's also, or I should say in this workbook, there's also a planner sheet for you to plan your daytime routine, and this is going to be individual. And this is why I have this page included, because when you learn what works for you, you're going to tailor your routine to you specifically. So you're going to fill in each of these with the ones that are right for you. And then here's a nighttime one too. And then there's the best foods for you, so you can have a list of all the foods that are good for your dosha specifically. And then there's an exercise plan, and you'll notice that this plan has 2 sections, one for summer and one for winter. So in Ayurveda, they kind of say that there's 3 seasons, but summer and spring are kind of considered one, and fall and winter are kind of considered another one. Of course, there's a little more in depth that you can get with that. Um, if you, I'll just stick with this basic. I don't want to go off on a tangent because I could really talk about Ayurveda for a long time. So to keep it simple is, you should change your exercise plan according to the season and also according to the time of day. So here's your imbalance tracker so that you can keep track of your symptoms. This is very important to do in Ayurveda. It's very important to keep trackers for your health overall, because how else do you know your body? You need to get to know your body and what your body is telling you. And that is what symptoms are. Symptoms is your body's communication system. So then there's some journal pages here that you can fill out before you start your Ayurvedic journey, and then as you're going along, and then there's a note page. So that is the Ayurveda workbook, and it's available on Etsy. I believe it's $9 still. Might be a little less. I change the prices once in a while to see which price works better. So the reason why this is a little more expensive than some of my other ones, well, actually, most of mine I think are $9 currently, but this is comprehensive, and this is something that you can do to get a crash course in Ayurveda. It's really like a basic course, just in workbook form. So this is a great deal, I think, because like I said, I've spent probably $1,000 total on courses learning Ayurveda, um, on courses and books and stuff like that. So what I did is I put all the information into this workbook condensed, so it's just the basics, just what you need. So in summary, if you are interested in Ayurveda, if you're interested in learning how to live a lifestyle in alignment with nature according to your body type, then this is perfect for you. This is a great, inexpensive way to learn about Ayurveda. And so when people talk to you about it, you'll be able to tell them. You'll be able to even tell what doshas other people are. So that's a great benefit of taking this, or I should say, buying this workbook. So you will learn yourself, and you will be able to learn about other people. You'll be able to help other people as well. So I will leave the link to that down below. And thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this, got any benefit out of it, give it a like and share it with anybody that you know that is interested in natural health and could benefit from buying this workbook. I should also add that this is a printable workbook. It's not physical, so it's something that you can download immediately and something that you can print from home. So literally within 5 minutes, you can have this in your hands. You can print it off and you can start learning right away. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.